Hi, my name is Janine Winfrey. I am the staff attorney at the Vineyard Community Center's Immigration Counseling Services, or ICS, a faith-based nonprofit here in Westerville, Ohio. Today is Thursday, August 8th, 2024. Thank you for joining me and Legal Aid of Southeast and Central Ohio, LASCO, today for a presentation on how to assist clients in applying for Temporary Protected Status, or TPS. Because this training is intended to prepare volunteers for the TPS clinic for Haitians later this month, I will be focusing specifically on Haitian TPS. As you may be aware, the Department of Homeland Security announced additional TPS eligibility for Haitian nationals about a month and a half ago. The new redesignation opens up a very important opportunity for Haitian nationals who have arrived more recently in the US. And it is thanks to the advocacy work by the Haitian community and supporters of the Haitian community that the Biden administration has expanded TPS eligibility to approximately 300,000 new Haitian beneficiaries in the US. Now it's our turn as legal advocates to file the forms and submit the documents. But first, some Hollywood humor. Okay, hope this works.
Hello, Peter. What's happening? That's sort of a problem here. Yeah, you apparently didn't put one of the new cover sheets on your TPS reports.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I forgot. Yeah. You see, we're putting the cover sheets on all TPS reports now before they go out. Did you see the memo about this?
Yeah, I have the memo right here. I just forgot, but it's not shipping out till tomorrow, so there's no problem.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great. And I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo. Okay?
Yeah, no, I have the memo. I got it. It's right. Hello, Phil.
You think with all this modern technology, paperwork would be a thing of the past.
Right. What I'd give to never have to file another TPS report. You know, it's a TPS report, right? Trans-Bureau Synopsis. What did I say?
A TPS report.
Old habits. Weird. Hey, yo. Hey.
What's your name, officer?
We just call them brown eyes. Is that right, officer? Come on, let's go fill out those TPS reports so we can go recharge some power cords.
You're not dismissed.
Okay. Whoops.
Hello, Peter.
All right, so what is TPS? The Secretary of Homeland Security may designate a foreign country for temporary protected status due to conditions in the country that temporarily prevent the country's nationals from returning safely. So TPS is a type of deferred action program that was created as part of the Immigration Act of 1990 as a way to afford protection to foreign nationals who can't return home for reasons other than persecution. Common reasons countries are designated for TPS include civil war or other ongoing armed conflict, such as the case of Ukraine, or an environmental disaster like an earthquake or hurricane. Haiti was actually first designated for TPS after the earthquake there in 2010. Initial TPS designations, extensions, and redesignations remain in effect for 6, 12, or 18 months, depending on the Homeland Security Secretary's discretionary decision. Before a designation period ends, the Secretary determines whether to extend TPS for another period of 6, 12, or 18 months. The Secretary must terminate the TPS designation if they determine that the country conditions no longer support the designation. Here are all the countries who currently have TPS. There's 15 total as of this month. So what are the benefits of TPS? Who is eligible to apply? And what is the application process? What do approved TPS beneficiaries get? there are 3 important benefits to being granted TPS. First, if you're granted TPS, it protects you from detention and removal, which used to be called deportation, during the TPS period. Second, the second benefit is that it gives you work authorization so that you can work lawfully and obtain a social security number. And finally, somebody with TPS may be eligible for what's called advanced parole, which is essentially a permission to travel abroad and to return to the US. And what about family members? Unfortunately, each person seeking TPS protection, including children, must apply individually on a separate application form with a separate fee and supporting evidence. There is no derivative TPS. This means your spouse, children, or parents cannot obtain TPS based on your approved TPS. Each TPS applicant must individually meet the eligibility requirements. So who is eligible to apply for TPS? First, you must be a national of a country designated for TPS or a person without nationality who last habitually resided in the designated country. Second, you need to file for TPS during the open initial registration or re-registration period, or meet the requirements for late initial filing during any extension of your country's TPS designation. Third, you must have been continuously residing in the US from the date specified for your country. We'll talk about this date specified, it's important. This is called the continuous residence requirement or for eligibility. And then fourth, you must have been continuously physically present in the US since the effective date of the most recent designation or redesignation for your country. And keep in mind the effective date is a different date sometimes from the date specified. And this is called the continuous physical presence requirement for eligibility. Who is not eligible and will be denied TPS? An individual is not eligible for TPS if they have been convicted of any felony or 2 or more misdemeanors in the US, or are found inadmissible under INA Section 212A, or are subject to any of the mandatory bars to asylum in INA Section 208, or they failed to meet the requirements for continuous residence or continuous physical presence in the United States, or failed to meet initial or late initial TPS registration requirements, or if granted TPS, failed to re-register for TPS as required without good cause, among other reasons. Firm resettlement. So this is a doctrine in immigration law, and it's important to know that the firm resettlement bar for asylum also applies to TPS applicants. This actually may be quite relevant for Haitian nationals because many of them have lived and worked in South America. I had one that was born in Haiti, but was a citizen of Argentina, for example. So before they arrived in the US, they may have been, quote unquote, firmly resettled in another country, and that's what USCIS will try to argue. So to overcome the mandatory bar, you can argue the following. Number one, that their entry into that third country was a necessary consequence of their flight from persecution, that they remained in that country only as long as was necessary to arrange onward travel, and that they did not establish significant ties in that country, or that the conditions of their residence in that country were so substantially and consciously restricted by the authority in the country that they were not in fact resettled. So that's something to think about if you do get a request for evidence because of firm resettlement. So you can always try and overcome that. Okay, so next we'll talk about how to maintain status and how you're required to maintain status. So if the secretary extends a country's TPS, as they have done for Haiti, for example, then TPS beneficiaries must re-register during each re-registration period. Failure to re-register without good cause is a ground for mandatory TPS withdrawal. Also, because not all re-registrants may receive a new employment authorization document, also called an EAD or work permit commonly, because it takes a while to process those new work permits, a lot of people might not actually get the new one with the updated expiration date in time. So DHS automatically extends the validity of certain EADs that were previously issued. So you have to check the USCIS website to see which TPS EADs have been automatically extended, and they're listed according to the expiration dates on the EAD. And so what would happen is you can just use that same work permit and have your HR department just update the expiration date by writing over the old expiration date. And that's if you have the automatic extension. And even if the EAD has been automatically extended, some clients just want a new work permit with an actual printed expiration date. So they do have the option to pay for another work permit and file for it. But you just never know how long it might take to get that new one. Okay, so next, we'll talk about Haitian TPS specifically. So recent updates. On June 28th, 2024, Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas made two key announcements regarding TPS for Haiti. First, he extended Haiti's TPS designation for another 18 months, starting on August 4th, 2024 through February 3rd, 2026. So this was directly after the previous TPS period for Haiti expired on August 3rd, 2024. Secondly, Secretary Mayorkas separately redesignated Haiti for TPS for 18 months. So this is for the initial applicants who don't currently have TPS. This redesignation period has an effective date of August 4th, 2024, and runs through February 3rd, 2026. The same 18-month period. And it grants TPS protection to Haitian nationals who have been continuously residing in the United States since June 3rd, 2024. So June 3rd, 2024 is that specified date that we talked about. So there's sometimes you have to keep in mind that when they redesignate the country, they sometimes backdate the date of arrival to about a few months back, just as a way to specify that only people who have been here since a certain time. It's almost like a cutoff date, and that happens a lot with deferred action programs. So you need to have been here continuously residing since that specified date of June 3rd, 2024, even though the effective date, meaning the date of TPS, is actually starts on August 4th, 2024. So it is important to note that the specified date of June 3rd, 2024 for continuous residence means that Haitians who cannot prove that they were residing in the US on or before June 3rd, 2024 are not currently eligible for TPS and may be subject to removal if they do not have another legal basis to stay in the US. And finally, on July 1st, 2024, DHS published a Federal Register notice with details about the new 18-month extension and redesignation of TPS for Haiti. This is a really important legal document for purposes of showing your employer, because it's the only one that will actually be legally valid to show that, yes, I have been auto-extended. I do have another period of TPS that will allow me to keep working. So if you get that extended work permit, you have to combine that with the Federal Register notice to bring to your HR department so that they can properly update your expiration of your work permit to keep working. Okay, so next we'll talk about the application process for TPS. So what are the forms, fees, and documents that you need to obtain from the client? So there is only one mandatory form, the Form I-821 application for temporary protected status that you must submit. You will use this form to register for TPS and to re-register for TPS, or if you're applying for TPS for the first time. So it's the same form for both. Passport style photos are recommended but not required for I-821 by the I-821 instructions. So the instructions say that it's not something that they're asking for, but then a lot of advocates seem to suggest that you should just always include the 2x2 photo with your application. It doesn't hurt. The only time that you do have to have the photo is if you're filing for the work permit in conjunction with the TPS application, in which case the 2x2 photos are required. And that's the same if you're filing by paper or online. So you'll be prompted to upload a photo if you're doing it online. But for the TPS online, there's no prompting to upload any photos, but it's recommended. And then for evidence, you need to provide the following evidence with using supporting documents to prove, number one, your identity and nationality. Number two, proof of the date of entry on or before the continuous residence specified date, which was June 3rd, 2024, and proof of being continuously physically present in the US from the Haitian TPS effective date of August 4th, 2024. And then for the fees, they're all posted at the uscis.gov website, and it's a very handy place to just kind of get all the updated fees. But there, as of now, there is a $50 filing fee for Form I-821 if you're filing for the first time. There's no filing fee. Move this over, I think, there we go. There's no filing fee of re-registering under the current extension. There is a $30 biometrics fee for all applicants, no matter what age, both for initial filings and re-registrations. And there are also additional fees to file for an EAD, travel document, and an inadmissibility waiver. I think the paper filing for a work permit is now $520. And then if you file online, you save some money, it's $470. So it is something that if the clients who come to the clinic are able to afford, it's a great thing to get for them, but sometimes it's hard to bring a money order for that amount of money for some of our clients. So fortunately, $80 is all they absolutely need to get the TPS application filed initially, okay? You can pay the fee with a money order, personal check, or cashier's check, or pay by credit card using Form G1450, which is the authorization for credit card transaction. If you file by paper form, if you file online, you will be redirected to pay.gov to make a secure payment online using a credit or debit card. So the forms that are optional, but you can also file concurrently with your TPS application form is number one, the I-765, which is application for employment authorization. If you want a TPS-based EAD as documentation of your identity and work authorization so that you can be employed in the US. Form I-131, application for travel document. This will allow them to obtain advanced parole to re-enter the US. This is also an optional form that you can request permission to travel outside the US while USCIS is processing your TPS application. Note that no specified reason for travel, such as a medical or family emergency, is required for TPS advanced parole. That's different from, for example, DACA advanced parole. So it's a little easier to get TPS advanced parole. Form I-601 is the application for a waiver of grounds of inadmissibility, which may be required to overcome certain grounds of inadmissibility, like we talked about, such as a disqualifying crime. And you can check the fee schedule on the website for all of those additional fees. And finally, I want to talk a little bit about the category where if you've not done a lot of work permits, you might not know, but you always have to file under a certain category to be considered, and sometimes they reject you if you file under the wrong category. So there's been some confusion, but USCIS has confirmed that A12 is the correct EAD category to apply under for both initial applications and re-registrations. You can also apply under C19, but we just think going forward, just do what they ask, which is file under A12, but they will still accept C19 at the lockbox. It has something to do with the CFR and the pending nature of the 821. And so sometimes people are issued a C19 if their TPS hasn't actually been approved yet. And then maybe they'll get the A12 the next go round. So next I'm going to talk about see. Oh, there it is. What evidence is sufficient to establish eligibility and get approved for Haitian TPS? So first is identity. So first you need proof of your Haitian nationality. The best evidence for that is your Haitian passport. It doesn't matter if your passport is expired, just as long as you have a passport. Now, if you do not have a copy of your passport in your possession, there are other kinds of documents that you could use to prove your nationality. For example, a birth certificate with a photo ID might work, or if you don't have a passport or other primary evidence, the CFR does allow for affidavits and secondary evidence in lieu of. Next, you will need to prove, again, this date of entry into the US that shows you have been continuously residing here since June 3rd, 2024. So if you entered on a visa, then you will be able to get what's called an I-94 admission record to prove the date that you entered the US. So if people flew in on an airplane, they would get a form I-94 to show that they've arrived in the US. So that's clearly the best type of evidence. Now, if someone came through the border, they also might have gotten a form I-94 as an arriving alien on their notice to appear, and you can also use that I-94. If they don't have an I-94, but do have a notice to appear before an immigration court, the notice to appear, or NTA, can be submitted as evidence of entry. And then if you don't have any of those documents, you will need to find any document that was issued to you that has 3 pieces of information about you: your name, the date, and the address where you were living in the US at the time. So for example, let's imagine that you entered the US without papers and without inspection at the end of April, but you started paying bills in May of this year. So let's say you have a gas bill or electricity bill with your name on it. You can submit those paper bills to prove your name, your address where you were living, and the date that those bills were issued to you. And that will be sufficient to establish continuous residence since the specified date. And then after that, you also need to prove that you will that you've been present in the US and physically living continuously. So that's kind of a tricky difference. So we'll talk about the distinction. Physical continuous presence in the US since the effective date of the redesignation period for Haiti. And the document that you would use is actually the same type of evidence as for continuous residence. So the same bill from the gas company or the electric company can also serve as continuous presence evidence. But this time, what you'll need is one document for each month that you were continuously present from the effective date until the date of filing of your TPS application. So the continuous presence requirement is more of a duration, a time frame or period where you have to prove that you've been living here this whole period of time. Whereas continuous residence, just you establish that you were here at that time before that cutoff date, but you don't need to prove the duration of time until the date of filing. So let's make it clear by giving an example with concrete dates. Let's say a Haitian national entered the US at the end of April 2024. And so they would prove their entry evidence using their I-94 or NTA, they would provide their entry document, an I-94 NTA, as proof of their continuous residence in the US before June 3rd, 2024, because they were here in April of 2024, right? Which will suffice for the continuous residence requirement. But they also have to show that they have been present for the entire time period between the effective date of the designation, August 4th, 2024, until the date of submission of the TPS application. This is called the date of filing. So that's the date USCIS receives your application. it's been filed. So if you have a Haitian client who files his application on the day of the clinic that's upcoming in August, August 20th, they only have to file one continuous presence document for August 2024. But if another, so they have very little to show from, they were here from August 3rd to August 20th when they went to the clinic and filed, right? So that's the only month they need to show that they were here. But if another Haitian national misses this clinic and then waits a while and doesn't get around to filing their initial application until, like, let's say February of 2025, then they will need to provide one continuous presence document for each month from August 4th, 2024 until whenever they file in February 2025. So for example, you need a document like a utility bill for August, or they may have like a purchase from Amazon for September, or they may have a doctor's appointment for October, another phone bill for November, a bank statement for December, and so on until February 2025 when they file to prove continuous physical presence. That I don't know is quite as strict as it seems, because I've filed a lot of clients' documents with only like 2 items that for an entire 6-month period, and it still seems to be approved. So I'm not sure how, how strict or vigilant you have to be as far as like one document for each month. I think some people say 1 document for every other month is like the best practices. So maybe 6 documents for every year that you've been in the country, spaced out during that year. So yes, these are other examples of continuous presence evidence shown in the slide here. So I've done like car titles, insurance document, car insurance documents, even like people get traffic tickets, eye exams, COVID vaccines, anything that shows your name, the date, and that you've been in the US, so an address in the US. And then as far as this list is not exhaustive of the types of documents that may suffice as proof of continuous presence. Please check out Form 821 instructions for more information on secondary evidence. Now let's talk about online filing. So I think everyone strongly suggests, even USCIS strongly recommends that you file online when possible, because it's a much faster, more efficient process, and there's no chance of being rejected and losing a lot of time because of sending in an incorrect fee or filing at the wrong address or any other little thing where they can reject you because they can. So as online, you know exactly what's been accepted or not accepted, and you can just keep, like if a photo isn't accepted, it tells you right away, like your photo doesn't meet requirements, and then you could upload another photo, and then at the end, it tells you exactly how much to pay. You don't have to worry about filing addresses, and then you get a receipt notice almost the same day. So that's always a really surefire way to file, and and if possible. But I know at the clinic it might not be possible because some people don't have a way to pay online. They don't have a credit card. They don't have a debit card. It does not allow for gift cards. So some people have tried to pay with gift cards. So just remember the caveats. Applicants who do not have credit or debit cards have no way of paying the application fee online. And applicants who need a fee waiver must always file using a paper form. So they've not digitized fee waivers, unfortunately. So again, you can have a fee waiver for TPS applications. You just have to show either means tested benefit like Medicaid or SNAP, or you can show a income level below 150% of federal poverty level, and any financial hardship, extreme financial hardship, such as sometimes I think even being homeless can work, but you probably need to get some kind of affidavit from the homeless shelter, things like that. And then next, we'll talk about the payment again. Just to note, I've already gone over like how to pay, but also just remember right now they're doing some new systems at USCIS where they're rejecting payments that are combined. So like, I think they're trying to make everything electronic on their end. So that's why you have to pay separately now. So you can't combine like the work permit payment and the TPS fee payment on the same check or money order. It has to be two separate. So you'll do one check for $80 for TPS, one check for $520 for work permit, and both go to US Department of Homeland Security. And then I think we're heading toward the last slide now, so hang in there with me. Late filing. USCIS indicates that they will accept late re-registrations and initial filings if good cause is established. You should submit a letter with Form I-821 explaining reasons for being late. So some good cause factors include being misinformed about maintaining TPS, unemployment, homelessness, death in the family, other personal emergencies, mental capacity issues, language barriers, and lack of access to legal resources. So I've provided here a basic checklist that might help you to use at the upcoming clinic if you'd like, but please make sure, yes, so I'd like to try to check all these boxes if they're requesting both TPS and work permit. If they're only requesting TPS, don't worry about the work permit part. And then just make sure that you are also, yeah, if they can't pay the $80 fee, there probably will be fee waivers available, and just grab one of us at the clinic and help, so we can help you with the fee waiver part. It's not too hard, but you just have to know how to fill out that I-912 fee waiver. And as far as the rest of the evidence, I would just always, of course, read and follow all instructions for the forms you're filling out, and make sure to send applications to the correct filing address as indicated on the website. We might have time to actually go through, if I can figure out how to undo this. I'm going to try to undo this so that we can go through. Oh, this is my information. If you have any questions about anything we covered today, and I'm going to close out this. How do I do that? If you hit escape. Oh, on the keyboard. Oh, thank you. And then I'm going to go to my. Okay, so let's go through the TPS application. So this is what it's going to look like if you're filing by paper. Okay, so you're not going to select the Form G28 at this clinic.
Janine,
sorry?
right now we still see your PowerPoint app.
Oh, sorry. I think I did it on the wrong side.
Just hit stop share.
Oh.
You'll reshare and select whatever you're working on.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
So then reshare.
Go to share and then it'll let you pick a window.
Oh,
And
thank
since
you,
have
guys.
That open. Yep.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you, guys. Teamwork. Okay. So then, so you won't be selecting. So this is the Form I-821. Let me see if I can move this over. See, I-821, and you always make sure that you've got the right expiration date. It should not be an expired form ever. Application for TPS, and then you will not worry about the Form G28 or the attorney information for this purpose of this clinic. Let's do an initial. So this is my initial first-time application for TPS. You fill that out, and then you won't have to worry about that for the re-registration. Are you also filing a request for employment authorization? Let's say, yes, I am requesting employment authorization and filing 765 together. So again, if you do the employment authorization, please don't forget the pictures, the 2x2 passport style pictures. The name of the designated TPS country, and then information about you. So basic biographic information, and then they do ask if your spouse has TPS as well. And make sure to just always check every box that you can, and don't skip anything. If you don't know the answer to something, it's better to write unknown than to guess. So we don't want them to have any inconsistencies with what the government already has in their file. So the the Form I-94, again, that's the if you arrived on an airplane or you got some type of parole at the border. So you would fill out that there, passport info. And then I'm gonna go down after all of this kind of basic information and just show you the eligibility on page 6. So I'm a national, and so you would say Haiti. And then I entered the United States. And so of course it has to be the date that you entered based on whatever document. So if you have a document that shows you were at the border on, April 15th, write that date. Or if you came through the border, but nobody saw you at all, then it has to be the date that is on whatever document. For example, your phone bill that says May 15th, right? So it has to be something that you can prove, hey, I was here that time, that I can prove it, right? Have you ever traveled and entered another country? So this is the whole firm resettlement thing. So if you say yes, you have to list every country that you traveled through. So a lot of Haitians had, after a lot of things happened in their country, they went down to Venezuela, they went down to Argentina, they went down to Chile, sometimes to Brazil. So there's a lot of countries that they might have lived in, and they have to provide details of every country that they lived in approximately. So when they were there and their immigration status. So sometimes they can write undocumented. I write that a lot, but if they worked there or they had like some kind of permanent residence, and don't lie, they just say, authorized to work or something like that. And then have you ever been offered any immigration status that you did not accept? You can say no. Sometimes you have to say yes, because some of them are permanent residents of a country in South America. So you just have to go through that, and then they'll determine whether they're gonna ask for more information about firm resettlement. Immigration and criminal history. So this is where the inadmissibility issues come in. So make sure you answer all these questions correctly. If there's any criminal offenses you do have to prove that they were not crimes that are disqualifying. So you have to provide a certified disposition of the case. And then they'll decide if it's something that will allow you to get TPS. And if not, you might have to file a waiver of inadmissibility. So mostly I never had to answer yes to any of these. The only one that I ever had to answer yes for is for my client was part of the Venezuelan police. So he had to answer yes to the part about the weapons. Yes, so he was one of these. Have you ever been, have you ever had weapons training? So then, okay, here it is. Have you ever received any weapons training? So I answered yes, and he actually wrote down like everything, and then they still sent us a request for evidence where he had to answer even more questions. So they do take that seriously whenever you answer yes, and don't worry, just answer the request for evidence, and he's already gotten his TPS approved. So let's see, anything else? A lot of times people who have the traffic violations, they do have to answer yes to this one. Cited, charged, or indicted for breaking or violating, oh, sorry, not exclude. So that would be no. But then if there's ever like so if they exclude the minor traffic violations, then always check to see. But if they don't exclude it, if they say cited, charged, indicted for breaking any law ordinance, then you do need to say yes and provide, if you can, a traffic ticket or something like that. And then other than that, as long as you answer no to any of those, then you should be fine with the inadmissibility. And then I think, yeah, I don't think there's any violations of immigration law questions. So like, I don't think that they have to worry about like being in the country for unlawfully or crossing the border illegally. So there's no issue there for TPS. Okay, so then you would select either I can read and understand English, or there's a Haitian Creole interpreter. You can have the interpreter there sign as the interpreter and fill in their information here. And then the preparer, you would be the preparer and you would fill in your information. Or I'm not sure if legal aid wants you to fill in their information, just make sure to fill in whoever is in charge of signing off on these forms. And then that's it. So it's a pretty straightforward form to fill out. It's only 13 pages. And then let me just show you real quick what the fee waiver looks like. So if someone can't pay the $80 or the $520 for a work permit, you can do fee waiver. You would need one fee waiver for each form. So if they have a financial hardship, or usually it's the easiest one is that they are currently receiving a means tested benefit. I believe some Haitians are getting some SNAP benefits. I'm not sure. So if they have that, just fill out the name of the person, and then you would have to enclose the verification of that the benefit is active and they're receiving current benefits. And then you still file the form along with the 821, and then all of it gets adjudicated at the same place. The fee waiver gets adjudicated first, and if you are able to meet those requirements for fee waiver, then they'll send you the receipt notice saying the fee has been waived. And then they'll process the 821 right after that happens. And so you don't have to worry about sending a fee waiver separately. And then let's go look at the 765, which is the work permit. And so, like I said, if you want a work permit, then you would put initial permission to accept employment, and then fill out these details. If you want a social along with the work permit, then you do have to fill out this disclosure right here. I authorize disclosure as required for purpose of assigning me social security number. And so you would check yes, provide your father's name and mother's name. And then remember when I talked about eligibility categories, so what you would write is the A12 right there. So A12 is the category for all TPS initial and renewal or re-registration applications. Don't worry about all the rest of those categories. And then again, there's interpreter, you hit that, and then the preparer, you would put your name or whoever is signing the document there and their contact information. And then of course, always have the client sign in the right spot. That's usually the #1 reason for rejection is when there's no signature. So always double check that all applicant signatures have been filled out, and preparer signatures, interpreter signatures, so that you can avoid getting rejected for something very minor. Okay, so any questions for me before we finish up today? There's a lot.
I wrote down a lot of questions. But I
Okay.
didn't know if you wanted.
Yeah,
to
you
go
can
over
ask
recording
questions, yeah.
or no.
So what I'm gonna do is
Oh,
I'm gonna go
okay.
ahead and stop the recording just
Oh,
so that we can
sure.
have more of a free flowing
Yeah, that'd be fine.
conversation. But I just wanna to thank Janine for letting us record her today for today's session. This is coming together very quickly, so we really appreciate the time you took putting this together, and to our partners at Advocating Opportunity for letting us be a part of the training today.
Thank you so much.